You ever have one of those nights where the air feels too heavy, like it's pressing down on your chest, daring you to breathe? That's how it was for Ellie Harper, sprawled out on the cracked, dusty floor of an abandoned barn somewhere in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Summer of '92. Her dress was torn to rags hours ago, leaving her clutching a tattered blanket to cover what little dignity she had left, her skin bruised, her lips cracked, her heart pounding so loud she swore the whole world could hear it. The men who dragged her here, they were laughing, their voices rough like gravel, passing a bottle of cheap whiskey around a flickering campfire outside. One of them, big guy, reeking of sweat and liquor, had her pinned earlier, his hands like iron, his breath hot and sour as he whispered things that made her stomach churn. Ellie, barely 20, whispered through her fear, "They're gonna kill us. Sarah." Her voice was so soft it almost got lost in the night, but it hit her friend Sarah Tate like a shotgun blast. Sarah, 24, tough as nails after weeks of being hauled from one hideout to another, froze. Her wrists were raw from the ropes they'd used to bind her. But those words from Ellie, they lit a fire in her gut. Enough was enough. Sarah didn't think she'd just moved. She grabbed a jagged rock from the dirt floor, lunged at the guy looming over Ellie, and smashed it against his skull. He dropped like a sack of flour, out cold, maybe worse. Ellie gasped, clutching that blanket tighter, her eyes wide with shock and something like hope. Sarah didn't wait to check if the guy was breathing. She yanked Ellie up, and they bolted, stumbling through the dark, their bare feet torn by thorns and sharp rocks. Every step a prayer, no one heard them. Behind them, the campfires glowed, and soon enough, shouts erupted, angry, slurred voices realizing their prizes were gone. "They'll find us," Ellie sobbed, leaning hard on Sarah's shoulder. "They'll hunt us down and make us pay." Sarah's grip tightened, her voice low but fierce. "Not if we keep moving, Ellie. Not if we don't stop." Her words shook, but her eyes burned with a stubborn kind of fire. The kind that says you don't get to give up. Not yet. They ran through the Oklahoma plains, the moon their only guide, casting shadows that looked like monsters. Hours blurred together, their bodies screaming, their spirits hanging by a thread. Ellie collapsed first, her legs giving out, her breath ragged. Sarah dropped beside her, torn between dragging her further or hiding in the tall grass. That's when they heard hooves, steady and close. Out of the darkness came a lone rider, his horse snorting in the cool night air. The man was older, maybe 50, with gray streaks in his hair and eyes that carried a lifetime of hard choices. His name was Amos Reed, a rancher who'd seen war and come out the other side not unbroken, but still standing. Amos reined in his horse, taking in the sight of these two women, bruised and bloodied, sprawled in the dirt like wounded animals. Sarah, her guard up but her strength fading, looked him dead in the eye. "Please, help us." Her voice cracked, raw with desperation. Amos dismounted slow, his boots crunching on the dry earth. He'd seen fear before, too much of it in his days as a soldier, but something about these girls hit him square in the chest. He handed over a canteen. and Sarah took it, helping Ellie sip like she was the one who had to stay strong. Then Sarah spoke again, her voice low, urgent. The man running this, he's got a scar. Right here. She traced a line from her eye to her jaw. Talk slow. Like every word's a threat. I'll never forget that voice. Amos froze. That scar. That voice. He knew them, both knew them like the back of his own hand. The man Sarah was describing was Caleb Reed, his younger brother, the one who'd walked away from their family years ago, chasing power, chasing blood. Amos's gut twisted, but he kept his face steady, hiding the truth. These girls didn't need to know, not now. Maybe not ever. Come on, he said, offering a hand, his voice gruff but kind. My ranch ain't far. You're safe with me. Sarah hesitated, her eyes searching his, but Ellie's faint nod pushed her to take his hand. They climbed onto his horse, clinging to each other, and for the first time that night, a flicker of hope sparked in their eyes. The ride to Amos's ranch was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavier than words. By the time the small wooden house came into view, Sarah's eyelids were drooping, and Ellie was barely conscious. Inside, Amos set out cornbread and a pot of beans, simple, warm, the kind of food that says you're going to be okay. Ellie ate like she hadn't seen food in days, still shivering under that blanket. Sarah ate slower, her eyes never leaving Amos, trying to figure out if this stranger was really the safe harbor he seemed to be. Then the front door creaked open, and the air turned cold. A man stood there, the same one Sarah had knocked out earlier, a fresh welt on his head, a pistol in his hand, and a sneer that could curdle milk. You got something of mine, old man, he spat, waving the gun toward the girls. Hand him over. Ellie whimpered, but Amos didn't flinch. In one smooth move, he crossed the room, grabbed the gun barrel, and twisted it like it was nothing. The outlaw hit the wall hard, the pistol clattering to the floor. Amos pinned him with a knee, his voice low. Steady. You don't come into my house and make demands. The guy cursed, but Amos was a wall calm, unyielding, the kind of strength that comes from surviving things most folks don't. With one shove, he sent the man sprawling into the dirt outside. Sarah's jaw dropped. She'd seen fights, but not like this, not with that kind of quiet, deadly precision. How'd you do that? Ellie whispered, her voice small. Amos just shrugged, like it was no big deal, but his eyes were already scanning the horizon. He knew this wasn't the end. The night settled heavy, the kind of silence that makes every creak sound like trouble. Sarah helped Ellie by the fire, while Amos sat by the window, his rifle close. Then it came hooves. Too many this time. Shadows moved in the yard. For men, armed to the teeth. The door swung open, and there he was, Caleb Reed, scar gleaming in the firelight, his voice slow and heavy, like a storm rolling in. Hand him over. Amos, he said, his eyes cold, unblinking. Sarah's head snapped toward Amos. Brother, she whispered, her mind reeling. Ellie gripped her hand, her breath hitching. Amos stood, slow and steady, his voice calm but tired. Caleb, you always thought the world owed you something. I couldn't stop you back then, but I'm stopping you now. The air was so thick you could choke on it. Caleb's men shifted, hands on their guns, waiting for his word. Sarah braced for a fight, but Amos didn't reach for his rifle. He stepped closer, his eyes locked on his brother. Look at yourself. Caleb, you were a soldier once. Fought for something real. Now you're selling women like livestock. That what you want your name to mean? Caleb's jaw tightened, and for a split second, something flickered in his eyes. Regret. Maybe. Or shame. He raised his pistol, aimed it at Amos's chest. Sarah cried out, but Amos didn't budge. If you're going to spill blood tonight, let it be mine, he said, quiet as a prayer. But these girls stay. The room hung still, like the world was holding its breath. Then Caleb lowered his gun, his voice cracking just enough to notice. We're done here, he told his men. Let's go. They filed out, leaving nothing but dust and tension. Caleb paused in the doorway, his back to Amos. This ain't over, he muttered, then vanished into the night. Sarah and Ellie sat there, shaken, clinging to each other as Amos closed the door. He'd saved them, for now, but the weight of what he'd done off standing against his own blood hung heavy in the room. By morning, the Oklahoma sun painted the sky gold, and Ellie made her choice. She wanted to go home, to find whatever was left of her family, to try and stitch her life back together. Amos saddled a horse for her, and she rode off, tears in her eyes but a small, hopeful smile on her face. Sarah, though, stayed. She'd lost too much to go back her home. Her family, all gone. But here, with Amos, she saw a man who'd risked everything for her. No questions asked. At first, she stayed to heal, helping with chores, feeding horses, mending fences. Days turned to weeks, and something grew between them, quiet and steady, like the land itself. Not the loud, dramatic stuff you see in stories, but the kind of bond that feels like coming home. For Amos, a man who thought his best days were behind him, Sarah was a reminder that even a beat-up soul can find purpose. For Sarah, Amos was proof that not every man in this world wants to take or break you. Some will stand by you, protect you, maybe even love you in their quiet, stubborn way. But here's the thing, Caleb's still out there, and men like him don't let go easy. Amos bought them time, but at what cost? When you stand up to your own blood for what's right, does it heal you? Or does it carve out a piece of you that never grows back? And when someone like Sarah comes into your life, someone who's seen the worst but still chooses to stay, do you push her away to keep her safe? Or do you let her in, knowing trouble might follow? That summer in Oklahoma, redemption wasn't just a word, it was a choice, made by a tired rancher and a young woman who refused to break. If this story hit you, drop a like so more folks can find it. And I want to hear from you in the comments. What would you do if you had to face down someone you love to do what's right? Is it worth the cost? Or does family come first? no matter what. Share your thoughts and subscribe for more stories from the wild. Dusty trails, because sometimes the real fight ain't with guns, but with the choices that keep you up at night.